Hi everybody, how are you doing today? I hope everybody is doing well. I hope everybody's getting by right now. I know it's struggling times, and I hope that our future will look brighter, at least a little bit, in some way soon. Again, you guys know where I stand. You know what I believe needs to be done. I believe that a lot of changes need to be made, and it's not with our government making them, it's with us making changes with our government. And I'm going to do a very short video here, and I'm going to add another video to the end of this video because I want you to see from a family member's perspective, and it's a niece of Donald Trump, just where his state of mind was, and why it continued to, I don't know how to say it, progress. The situation ended up turning into what it did. And I can see a lot of what she's saying, and I'm not on either side, so again, don't attack me, because I, again, don't believe in anybody you put in that White House is going to make a difference or a change. I believe they all have their own agenda. I believe they will keep up the corruption because, like you've seen with Trump, it's all who you know, who backs you, who has power of where your agenda is going to lead or go. And sometimes it fulfills its, agenda, and sometimes they don't fulfill their agenda. So it's a give and take, but it's still not for us. No matter what you want to believe, it's not for us. It's for themselves. And if this with Trump did not show you that, and the people who got used, whether they were good people, bad people, or, people with certain kind of mindsets, it doesn't matter. The fact is that they were able to be used. And that should never happen by anybody in our government. They should not use people to try to fulfill their agenda. And I'm sorry, to me, it's actually repulsive. And if you're a Trump supporter, great. That's fine. If you're a Biden supporter, great. That's fine. I don't believe anybody in government or in that presidential seat or Congress or anybody else is going to do anything to benefit the citizens, us, the citizens. I believe they all have their own agenda to fill their own pockets, their own banks, their own gain. It's not ever going to be to better us. And that's not what they're put there for. They are put there to better our lives, to make sure that we all have rights, we have equal survival in the world, is the best way I could put it, and that things go good for us. That's the whole point of appointing a government. And if that's not going to happen, then things need to be changed. And unfortunately, whoever you put in there is going to be a corruption one way or another. And all politicians at this point are corrupt. And as I said, it's out there. Research it. Open your eyes and see. Stop burying your heads in the sand for the yous that don't want to see it. Because this is our life at stake here. This is our livelihood, our freedom, our way of living is all at stake. I don't even know how else to get it across or say it, because we all know what's at stake. And our happiness, our survival, I could go on and on and on. And we are not going to get that from government, because these people are grouped up. They look out for themselves and each other to fill their pockets so they can live high and mighty, and pray that we never do anything about it. because they've got away with it for so long. And in this video clip, it kind of shows you how they feed off each other and how they get to where they want to be. And if it falls apart, then that's what happened in the end of this election. And I honestly, like I said, I knew no matter who won, nothing really was going to change. And either way, things are going to end up in a dark situation. And I would like to prevent that. And if we can prevent that by making changes within our government, then that's what we need to do. So those are my feelings on it. And I will go into it further in another video, because I just want to kind of catch up and get ahead and show you the videos that I've been holding on to during my time away, and let you think and see it for yourself and figure out how you feel about it. Because from where I'm sitting, it doesn't matter, again, who's sitting in that chair. Nothing is going to get better for us. And mind you, look at the gas prices. They have skyrocketed. Are they ever going to be left at a reasonable price? Is anything ever going to be affordable? You know, people are pointing out this and that, and wages go up and taxes go up and this and that. Exactly. No matter where they better it for us, they're going to hit us somewhere else. So it's never going to be where we can ever get ahead. And again, that is not what government is about. It's about making things equal and livable and survivable, where people don't have to worry about people being so rich they have money they don't even need, and people scraping by just to feed their family. It's not supposed to be like that. And again, these politicians are getting paid out the wazoo for doing absolutely nothing for us citizens. And why do you think that they want to stay in office? Why do you think it upsets them so much when they lose a seat in office? Because they got to scramble to get into another seat, or else they're not going to be making the money they were making. And it's all who you know, who you're related to, who you're buddies with, who you hang out with, what kind of connections you can make to stay in those positions to keep getting richer and richer and richer while we get poorer and poorer and poorer. Please tell me how any of you regular citizens making normal money think that that's okay. And just like anytime you go for a job, you know it's going to be filled by somebody they know, or they're connected to, or they have some kind of loophole in. Just like I said in some of these cases, or people running for governor, Congress, mayor, whatever, they block certain people from being able to get in, so that they don't have a competitor to run against, so they will stay in a position, or so they know that their competitor that they're voting for is going to win. And again, it's all rigged. It's not for the best of us. And to make that happen, to put somebody in there that is wanting to do what is best for us, they've got to have connections and pound the pavement and be very wealthy and really be able to put in the time, the effort, and the money to run against somebody who is basically had their seat prepared for them and prepared for them to sit there and stay in that seat. And we'll get into more of that again on another video. But here's a short film that's going to connect to mine, that's going to let you know exactly what I've been saying this whole time. And it's just a little bit more of a piece of a puzzle that if you start looking at it and accepting it, you will see that it's true. And that nothing is going to change no matter who's in that seat. Because what he did, Biden does. What Biden does, the next guy will do. And we just hope that, again, they don't use the people to turn against each other to fulfill their agenda. And you'll see the difference in treatment in people in general. And just like they do it to us, it's done between us and the government as well. The government people are here, and we're here when it's supposed to be like this. That is the changes that need to be made. If not, you can keep being treated like garbage by the government. And that's where we're at today. Sorry to say it. But they bully us. They brainwash us. They steal our money. They steal our properties. They steal our belongings. They go as far as, like I said, everything you've seen the police as well do to people, from locking innocent people up, beating them up, all kinds of harassments, including to women, assaults, everything including to women. What haven't they done to the citizens, and why do citizens continue to accept this behavior? And now we even have them letting people into the Oval Office to fit their own agenda. You would have never seen any of the other peaceful protesters getting in anywhere. Not even their own homes. They were getting hit with stuff before they could even make it in the house. Some were getting hit with stuff sitting in their doorways. Wake up, people. It's time to make changes, and that's what this channel is about. Join me. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out how we can make a better tomorrow and a better future for our children, families, and the rest of our families that are going to be born into this, I don't want to be rude, but place that seems like hell is the nicest way I could say it. And I really don't want to say that, but it just seems to get worse and worse and worse. And if you want to keep your freedom and your rights, join here. Let's build a group and start talking. Let's see what we can come up with in a peaceful, positive way to make changes before it's too late. And on that note, I will see you on my next video. Have a great night. God bless. Love each other. Take care of each other. And do not let anybody divide us, because that's not where our future lies. Have a wonderful night. God bless.
Thank you for joining us. And Mary, I know that you are fit to be tied. I think a lot of people are incredibly upset with what's going on in the nation's capital. And
yeah.
And you know, I've been actually really anxious to talk to you, because after the election, I figured that this would become a very difficult time, not only for the country, but for the psyche of your uncle. And I wondered if you could just give us some insights of what you think may be going through his head right now, and why he cannot, why he continues to cling to this narrative that, you know, that the election was rigged and that he won in a landslide, and on and on and on.
I think the biggest problem right now is that this is being allowed to happen. The fact that he's freaking out, and I'll get to why in a second, but it shouldn't be relevant. You know, as soon as this election was called, he should have been sidelined. He should have been muzzled. You know, every single, I was going to say responsible and Republican in the same sentence, and I realized that I can't do that. You know, from Mitch McConnell all down, they should have accepted that Joe Biden was the legitimately elected president of the United States. And, you know, yes, Donald would have continued to incite his base, but it wouldn't go anywhere, because nobody else in power would have been giving it any energy. Instead, we have 12 sitting senators who are perfectly willing to commit sedition to overturn the results of a legitimate election and 140 Congress people. So we're in extraordinarily dangerous territory. As for why Donald, first of all, the idea of losing is anathema to him. As far as my grandfather was concerned, the worst thing you could be was a loser. And, you know, whenever Donald talks about how great he is, he's talking to his audience of one, which was my grandfather. His father looms very large for Donald. And everything he does is out of fear. So throughout the course of his life, he's actually never won anything legitimately, including the last election, but he's always been able to buy, cheat, or steal his way to the win, because it doesn't matter how you win, it just matters that you win, even if it's a win with an asterisk next to it. He can't do this time around, you know, and he tried. We need to be really clear about that. He's been cheating to steal this election since the summer by claiming that if Biden won, it was rigged, by telling people not to trust the post office or mail-in ballots during a pandemic. And he still lost, which is one of the reasons he's freaking out, because he tried so hard. He also knows what's facing him once he loses the power and the protection of the Oval Office. So,
and are you talking about criminal indictments?
I'm talking about several lawsuits which implicate him criminally or put him at risk financially. I'm talking about the fact that banks are going to start calling in his debt, his hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in debt. And yeah, I'm also talking about criminal charges at the state level from which he can't be pardoned. So he's a very desperate man. And to me, the greatest tragedies here are, this was totally avoidable. He never should have been empowered to create the kind of chaos and sow the kind of division he's sown in the last 2 months or 700 years. I'm not really sure. I think it's 2 months, but it's really hard to tell. And what happened today should absolutely never have been allowed to happen. And one of the things that I find so worrisome about what happened today is, first of all, Donald feels even more empowered because he's got all of these people in Congress basically saying, we've got your back, do whatever you want to do. And it's, you know, I don't know for a fact, I don't want to seem conspiratorial, but where was the police presence? We knew this was going to happen. We knew that his followers were going to descend upon DC, hotels closed to avoid any conflict. And yet a bunch of thugs, a bunch of insurrectionists were essentially escorted into the Capitol building to put our Congress people at risk. It's insane. How did this happen?
Now, so do you suspect somehow that there was complicity among police officers and the President of the United States?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that I know that for a fact. I'm saying that given all of the warning signs we had, given how peaceful Black Lives Matter protesters were treated under wildly different and much less threatening circumstances. In fact, those circumstances weren't threatening at all. It's a little odd. On the one case, we have peaceful protesters protesting for their rights to not to be murdered by police officers in America, who were shot at with rubber bullets, who were buzzed by helicopters, and who had tear gas canisters launched at them. Today, we have people descending upon the openly stating that they are going to try to prevent the peaceful transfer of power, and literally nothing happens.
Let's talk about the people who stood behind Donald Trump. Ted Cruz, those senators and members of the House who you say basically told him, we've got your back, we're going to object. What do you think? You're a therapist. I mean, you can't obviously diagnose a whole group of people, but do you think they're motivated because they just a craven desire to cling to power? They don't want to alienate, your uncle's base of support, and you know, how do they sleep at night?
Oh, I think they sleep just fine, because they, I don't think they have much of a conscience, honestly. So we're talking about people who know, like, I think a lot of Republicans know that this was really their last best hope of clinging to power. The demographics are against them. Georgia turned blue. I mean, think about that. Because of Georgia, the Democrats now control the Senate. That's extraordinary. That's not going to change. I think what's going to happen is that more states are going to become vulnerable to flipping. I think some of them also, for some of them, I think it is just, it is a clinging to power, but it's also, they've made the calculation that they cannot fulfill whatever ambitions they have, like people like Josh Hawley, who in my view should be resigned or removed from office or imprisoned because he's committing sedition. He thinks his best shot at becoming president is to take over, to become Donald's standard bearer. And he's just playing to the base because he's come to the conclusion that that is the best thing for his political career. The rest of us be damned, including democracy, by the way.
Mary, how do you see your uncle getting out of this? How do you see him saving face? How do you see him accepting the fact that he will no longer inhabit 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and that for now, anyway, if not permanently, the party's over, or at least his party's over?
He's never going to accept it. We saw that today. He was called upon to calm things down, to diffuse the situation, and instead he continued lying. He continued making outrageous claims that are an assault on our democracy. And because of him, for the first time in our entire history, including during the Civil War, there was not a peaceful transfer of power in the United States. One woman was killed. Several other people were injured. And it's all because when he had the opportunity to have things toned down, he stoked the resentments of these people who felt perfectly comfortable smashing their way into our Capitol and desecrating it in the name of Donald John Trump.
Is Mike Pence dead to him now that he did not support his specious claims?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think we had an indication of that as soon as Donald was letting people believe that Pence actually had power to do anything, when the truth of the matter is his role today was purely ceremonial. I mean, what happens today happens every 4 years, and it means nothing. It's literally a ministerial thing.
Right.
But by letting people believe that Pence actually could do something, he put Pence in a terrible position, which is fine with me. But because Pence wouldn't go along with it, yeah, Pence is in, I don't know what kind of trouble, but from what I understand, it was Pence who called in the National Guard, not Donald.
And is that true? So he spoke on the Senate floor, and he said to those who wreaked havoc in our Capitol today, you did not win. Violence never wins. Freedom wins. And this is still the people's house. Mitch McConnell said, we will certify the winner of the 2020 presidential election. The American people deserve nothing less. Do you believe this is going to change the minds of some of those people who have announced that they will object? And Prince did call in the National Guard. That's accurate. Do you think that some of the people who were going to object to the certification, given what transpired today, will have second thoughts?
No. No, I think they're going to do what Donald does. They'll double down. They'll quadruple down. In the face of overwhelming evidence that contradicts everything they believe, they will double down. and they will become more dangerous. I heard reporters saying that they've spoken to these supporters of Donald's who, were perfectly comfortable being part of an insurrection against this country, who say that next time they're going to come back with their weapons. So that's the atmosphere. And, it's all well and good for Mitch McConnell and Mike Pence finally to, toe the line. However, they're directly responsible for all of this. They've been enabling this for 4 years now, and we cannot forget that. In the meantime, however, the least they can do, the very least they could do, is make sure that this election gets certified tonight, so this doesn't play out any longer than it needs to. And, they need to think long and hard about how they're going to handle the members of their party who were perfectly comfortable and willing to attack our democracy.
What do you think he's doing right now? He's hiding. They put a lid, meaning he won't appear in public or on camera unless he releases another video on his own.
Yeah.
He's somehow getting off on this. Melania's chief of staff submitted her resignation tonight, apparently motivated by the events that unfolded today. Just give us a sense of what you think he's feeling. Triumphant? Is he feeling, what do you think his frame of mind is?
And then, I'm sorry, I have to go because I have to jump on the computer. First of all, as for the resignations, I guess better late than never, but the fact that everybody in the White House hasn't resigned is telling. Donald is feeling, on the one hand, emboldened because they got away with it. I mean, there were 13 arrests? I think a lot more people than that were wreaking havoc in our Capitol. But on the other hand, he's locked out of Twitter. I think that's the same is true of Facebook. He's probably more desperate than he's ever been in his life. And I'm sorry to say this, but short of the Congress stepping in, impeaching and removing him, the next 2 weeks are going to be among the most dangerous in our country's history. And after today, that's actually really saying something.
Well, Mary, I hate to end on that note, but,
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry.
We can pray that maybe cooler heads will prevail and that people will have an epiphany about how much danger they're putting the country in and democracy itself in. Anyway, listen, I love talking to you, Mary. Thanks so much. Sorry about all the technical issues and really appreciate your time. Stay safe. And by the way, there's a pandemic going on, which seems to be secondary at this point.
Well, that's the problem. Today was also a super spreader event in addition to being an armed insurrection. So there you go. Anyway, stay safe. It was great. Anytime.
Okay. Thanks, Mary. Thanks.
Bye.
If you guys like what you see, subscribe right here.